What's happening, everybody? Hope that you're doing well. I'm I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I truly enjoy the time, or have truly enjoyed the time here in South Africa, kicking it with my folks, Mark and Latasha Blanton of the Real South Africa, and other folks as well. But I had a chance to be in Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg. They all have their own unique charms. I enjoyed each of them differently. I mean, there are really no words. I mean, I've been to Joburg before, but spectacular environment, wonderful people. If you're someone from the West, the UK, from America, from Canada, you will find it very easy to blend into the culture because the amenities are pretty much identical, if not an upgrade. I often think on some levels to America. I haven't been to the UK. I'll be getting there soon, but I have been to Canada. So, I love South Africa. I do plan on buying property in South Africa as well as Ghana, and then I'm looking at somewhere in the East. What I don't do, and this is just to be very clear with everyone, I don't sit down and compare countries, from which country's better or that country or whatever. It just depends on what someone's into. There's some people where they're going to prefer Ghana and what Ghana has to offer. They're going to prefer Kenya, what Kenya has to offer, or Tanzania, or South Africa, or Morocco, or Egypt, or whatever. It really boils down to each person's preference. And I'm going to do a talk on why I don't have a favorite African country. And that's just me. I'll explain why I don't, but I will explain what I enjoy about the different places that I've been to. I won't go through all 17, but I'll share with you because a lot of people are considering making moves or at least visiting or something like that. And one of the reasons why we have so many destinations in our repertoire is because it's like I like to be able to offer people a variety of places. They go here, they go here, they go here, they try different things, and they have different experiences. For me, it's different emotional experiences. Ghana gives me a different emotional experience than South Africa. South Africa gives me a different emotional experience than Kenya. Tanzania is like the place that changed my life. So many things happen in Tanzania, but it's still not my favorite. It has parts of it that I enjoy and that are favorite. But like Cote d'Ivoire had the best time as far as like nightlife in Cote d'Ivoire. So that's how I look at it. Anyway, what I want to talk about now, and be on the lookout for that video because it's coming real soon. It might be coming like in a couple of hours. But what I want to talk about now is this topic, which is really interesting, and I think it's a profound topic. Are African Americans really coming to Africa to find the love that they could not find in America? And I have spoken to so many people. I've run into people. People have come on my tours, and I don't know, y'all ready for some real talk? Now, I want to preface this to say that these are stories and things that I've been told. This was someone's account. This is what they said. So I can't vouch for it one way or the other. It was what I was told. If you have a story that you would like to share, I would love to hear it. I'd love to learn more about your story and your journey. And that way we can get different perspectives. All right. Africa is known for its natural resources. It's gold, it's bauxite, it's rubber, it's uranium, it's copper, it's oil, and also it's people. And so I have seen in my travels where many people have opted to come to Africa to find love. I've seen people find love. They're happily married, have a family, and they're back and forth between Africa and in particular Kenya and the U.S. And they're doing well. Last time I checked in, they were doing fine. Had a great go of it. I've also talked to other people that didn't have such a good go of it because of a variety of different cultural issues that neither one were prepared for. But I'm going to kind of run down some of the things I've heard and you chime in the comments. And of course, make sure you subscribe, like, share, because I have a feeling this is going to be the beginning of a series of conversations and interviews and all of that, as when people talk about their experience with love in Africa. And I'm just going to be this is not going to be watered down, not like I watered things down, but I'm just going to tell you all what I've heard, the things that I've seen, and then you all can decide from there how it ties into your situation, because some people may be sitting in America. I can't say that yet. I'm gonna save that one. All right, so here's the deal. A lot of people are tired of the heartache in America, and that's why they started to look outside of America. Maybe they've been divorced, maybe or whatever. They had a serious bad relationship, so they said, "Oh, let me go check out somewhere in Africa." It could be anywhere. I know that there are certain parts of Africa where you have older white ladies who are coming to Africa to hook up with young African men. I guess to still, I don't know if that's Stella, maybe that's Karen getting a group. I don't know. Y'all know I have no sense. If all of my European descendant viewers, y'all know I got a sense of humor. Y'all know how this goes. All right. So there's some other things that people told me that they discovered, and this is what they weren't prepared for. Because a lot of times what happens with people coming from America, and I'm speaking of Americans, primarily African Americans, because that's my culture, that's what I know, that's what I grew up under. But a lot of times what will happen is they're not prepared, or they're coming to Africa with the mindset of America. So they're saying, okay, I'm looking to do relationships the way we do it in America. People should think the way I think, and they'll account for some things, but a lot of things they didn't account for. And here are a couple of things they didn't account for: the economic disparity and having to pay for everything. And this is one of the things that I mentioned and said, well, if you're coming from a country that has, I forget what the $1 trillion GDP is of the U.S., and then you're coming to a country that has maybe a $75 to $80 billion GDP, the economic disparity is already going to be there unless you hook up with an outlier, unless you hook up with someone who's wealthy, and chances are their money is still tied to the West by way of the World Bank or something like that, or they have investors from the West or the East. Somehow it kind of ties all of that in. So if you're going to the everyday person who's earning the everyday wage, even if it's middle class or upper class, it's still not going to be what someone is making in America, unless, obviously, the upper class, unless it merges at some point. So now, before people get all sensitive and all of that, well, I'm just helping people understand the economic disparity and why that might be the case. It doesn't reflect on anybody's capabilities or intelligence or anything like that. I know they're billionaires and millionaires and all throughout Africa. I got that. And that still speaks to the economic disparity. I'm talking about the average person who's coming from America to Africa looking for love. Now, they're not necessarily looking for the millionaire, the billionaire. If they find him, then it's cool. But there's stuff that comes with that too. Anyway, I'll get to that. So the economic disparity. So a lot of times, whether it's a man or the woman, there's going to be that difference. And I've heard a lot of sisters meaning Black American women, say, look, or African American women, look, y'all know exactly who I'm referencing, because some people are like, don't say Black and don't say African. I'm just trying to get it to y'all so you know who we're talking about. So I've had a lot of sisters really to share with me and say, look, he's a nice guy, but he has no money. He can put it on me real good, but he has no money. He can't provide. He can't take care of a family. And I'm like, well, look at the situation here. You're coming from, African Americans, their GDP is like $1.5 to $1.7 trillion a year. That's more than 100 and was it 197 countries, 97, 98, and then you back out. Let's go back down. Boop, boop, boop. It's wealthy. African Americans are wealthy more like 185 countries in the world. So like the 13th, 14th wealthiest country in the world would be considered, if you put African Americans together, that's what it would be. So you're going to a country that has a $80 billion GDP, or even if it's a $500 billion GDP, it's the whole country. And so you're going to find it more difficult to have someone who has that level of financial stability, if you feel me, that level of financial stability to be able to do that. So a lot of people have that level of culture shock that comes with the experience. The next thing, running into people who are trying to get the visas. So, hey, Dexter, they're going through that whole thing where they're like, playing the game to get the visa. Sweet talk, smooth, all that kind of stuff. Sisters tired of dealing with these brothers out here with this foolishness. Brothers tired of dealing with these sisters with the foolishness and all of that. And that's what they're saying. That's what they're telling me. And they're like, well, I got to go over here and I'm going to go get me my African bunny. I'm going to go get me my African mandingo. This is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to get my Maasai warrior. And that, so those are the things that end up happening, if people are not really paying attention to it. And then they find themselves getting into these visa scams, if you will. The next thing is, let's see here. It's acting funny. Let me see if I can do this. When you have something set and then it decides it wants to act crazy on you, and then that's what's happening here. All right. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, here's the next thing. A lot of people, they don't care about any of that. They just don't want to be alone. They recognize now as they're getting older, they recognize that they're probably past their prime in some instances. And they're like, look, I just want to have fun. I just want to kick it. I just want to do my thing. And that's where I can do it in Africa. I don't have to worry about people being in my business or whatever. And that's what they do. And there's a really strong expat community in a lot of different countries. And you find out that within those communities and those cultures, that's what's going on. People are just doing their thing. They're like, man, them people in America are crazy. And they're just, doing whatever. And a lot of times, you're going to see more concentrations of ladies more often than not. And as far as African-American men are concerned, you typically don't see a whole lot of concentration of African-American men in Africa simply because they're not interested in African women. That's just, they'll go down to South America, they'll go down to these other places, and typically they're looking for something light-skinned, and they're not looking for African women because that's how we were bred. We were bred like that. And that's just the reality. Not always, because you do see brothers, and I say this for the brothers, hey, y'all missing out on, you sitting around, I can't say that. You sitting around lonely and you want some companionship, but the sisters don't want you. That's it. They don't want you. They told you they don't want you. So now there you are by yourself and you're thinking, no, nobody want me, but you're staying within them borders of America. And you might be able to you could go down to South America. You go to wherever, go somewhere else. And you'll find that you might be very well welcomed and received. But because, you're keeping the borders up, you might miss out on it. Now, some brothers, they say, no, they're going over to wherever, East Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, wherever they decide to go, and they're finding the love that they're looking for. So that's, I see that, and I've heard brothers tell me this, like, yeah, I'm going down to South America. Yeah, I'm like, man, you consider going over to, Africa or whatever. One dude came, he was like, man, ain't no red bones over here, man, I can't do that, ain't no red bones over here. But he crying foul about what's happening in America as far as discrimination is concerned. But somehow He can't see his own discrimination towards, and people say, well, that's somebody's preference and all of that. That's cool. Then when the racist person has preference for their own and don't have a preference for you, it's the same principle. They just prefer their own. They might not even hate you. They just might have a prejudice towards what they prefer, so that's just a whole different, that's a whole different topic, but it just kind of puts it into that perspective. All right. So a couple things, if you're going to go make that move towards, and this is what I've heard, towards Africa, you want to be prepared for the cultural differences. There's some things that we do in America they just don't do in Africa. They just, in any part of Africa, even in South Africa, they don't do it like that because it's just cultural differences. And again, a lot of people are not prepared for that. So they're expecting for people to just kind of chime in, all right, just line up with mindset. So that's where the conflict happens. Go check out some of my interviews with Jewel. She talked about some of this in her, when we did our interview. But the cultural differences and recognizing that there's some ways and things and different habits and all of that people think, but it won't line up with how you're thinking. So you want to check into that before you, move. Now, I've seen people, I'm telling you, I have seen people literally come to Africa and hook up and find successful love. Now, one of the things I have cautioned African brothers, I said, look, man, and this was just me having a man conversation with him. I said, look, that sister, she got one thing on her mind, and she want what you got in your pants. And that's where she is right now. And you just got to be careful because she can end up using you and you think you're getting over and all of this. So we just had to, we had a man conversation. And I had to have the same conversation with the brother. I said, look now, she's going to be with you or whatever, but she has something in mind too. I mean, these people are people. People are not stupid. So they know when they know they have a resource too. So if you're thinking one way, you just want to make sure you kind of be mindful of it. Before you get too deep into a situation. I don't know why my thing is acting funny. So I can't really. All right, so with that, you're dealing with the cultural differences and all of that. Then managing your expectations. I talked about the financial already. A lot of people don't even consider that as a part of it. They're expecting, again, they're going with the mindset to say, yeah, professional, and they do have professionals, and it can happen like that. But again, when you just look at the economic disparities between the different countries, that's all I'm saying. It's just to kind of modify. You might have to pay for food, and you might have to pay for some things because you have the resources. I mean, that's just the way it is. Got to figure out, do you want love or do you want the money? But what do you want? Let's see. Why did that disappear on me? Okay. There we go. All right. Oh, I already talked about that. Yeah, so, all right. So I read from my notes. Now I can talk from the heart. I want to get all of that out. So this is what I've seen in the travels. I don't discourage it, honestly. I don't discourage if your situation in America or wherever is not right. I encourage you to go look elsewhere to see where you can find what it is that you're looking for. There are very nice people. It's not even though there are cultural differences and all of that, you just gotta kind of know from a personality standpoint what you're dealing with. Now, if you have a history of picking toxic people in America, chances are you're going to pick a toxic person wherever you go in Africa. If you're choosing it, because if you choose, so there may be some underlying patterns and things like that you may be subconsciously making certain decisions and gravitating towards certain kinds of people and making that decision. So I would say check in and make sure that you're not doing that. But as far as just like in general, what the opportunities, and this is what I say to the fellas, because I know a lot of fellas sitting in America and wherever, Canada and Europe or whatever, and you're sitting there lonely, you're sitting there, whatever. My encouragement to you is to at least visit, if this is something that you're interested in, at least visit and see, and go around the continent and see, because you never know. I shared the story of the lady who, she went to Kenya years ago. Oh, goodness, might be about 14, 15 years ago now, for a visit. And she met her husband. And they have at least one child that I know of. They got married and all of that. So it can happen. I think that what a lot of people do is they rule out the possibility because of, ignorance. They don't know. Well, them Africans don't like us and all of that. And the other, I get people in the comments all the time talking about how they found the love of their life and everything is going great. There's no, obviously humans have different conflicts or whatever, but I hear it all the time. I also hear the horror stories. I hear the horror story, somebody got in a relationship and the person became abusive, or someone got in a relationship and they brought some of that American baggage over, and the lady wasn't ready for it, the guy wasn't ready for it here in Africa, and they're like, whoa, what happened here? Or the two baggages combined and both, it was just a bad toxic situation with abuse and just all kinds of things going on. So, going in, I think the romanticism of it all, I think really just kind of being mindful of the fact that people are people no matter where you go. So it's not like you're going to necessarily just get a better person. You just might get a different person based upon how you choose, maybe the environment, maybe you choose differently. I don't know. And I'm not saying that if someone abuses you, it's your fault. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we can contribute to our bad relationship scenarios based upon who we choose to be in relationships with. And so that's the thing that I talk about, is like people owning who they choose to be in a relationship with. First sign of somebody being abusive, some people choose to stay in that, some people choose to leave. I guess it's just up to them in their situation and whatever's going on within their personal philosophy. I don't get into that so much, not in this particular topic. But what I would like for you to do is to chime in the comments and let me know what your scenario is. What, have you had love experience, successful or unsuccessful? Is it something that, because some people will say, well, why you got to go, there ain't no black man out here now, and you encouraging them to go on over there to Africa. You need to stay here. Not with all that going on right there. I don't know if anybody want to deal with that, so I don't know. But if wherever somebody finds it, that's the deal. My thing is just let people be happy. If they find it in different parts of Africa, hey, because some people just, sometimes, this is what I'm realizing, sometimes the cultural challenges that we have had in America might not be conducive for some people. And perhaps they need a different environment so that the toxicity in our culture that has been woven through entertainment, been woven by way of chattel slavery, been woven by way of different systems, they might not be able to handle that, and they may never find a successful relationship within that culture because of maybe the traumas they've dealt with, the unreconciled traumas they've dealt with. Maybe there's some baggage they're still holding on to. And if you have two people coming from in a situation like that, and they have not dealt with those issues, then there will be these chronic relationship breakdowns. So if there's a possibility for them to go somewhere else and have a healthy relationship that might not have that particular level of toxicity or triggers, then that could be something to explore. That's all. Now, I encourage people, of course, I encourage people in America to work things out and do what they need to do, but I'm just putting it into a perspective for people, because some people are going to be, who want to be in relationships, who desire to have that companionship. They're not going to have that companionship because they're limiting themselves to a border, a man-made border. That's the deal, or an imposed border. You know, you can even look at it like that, depending on how deep you want to go with it. I just look at the examples of the people that found love, and if they had stayed and found love in Africa, and if they would have stayed in America, then they wouldn't have had that experience. You know, that's all. So it's not, I mean, someone else's opinion might be, no, you stay here and you find somebody here, and we don't need no. You find, well, okay, then that's what you do. You stay there, and that's what you do. But for somebody else, they may find it. They may find it a better situation somewhere else. So that's all. But anyway, in the comments, you all tell me about your love scenarios in Africa. And I would love to interview some of you if you're willing to talk about it. I'd love to be able to interview you and get your perspectives on your love story in Africa. And it could be good or bad or whatever. You know, it could be a lot of different things. Maybe you went to Africa and it didn't go right, and then you ran back to America and you found the love of your life. You're like, I'm staying right here. I'm not doing that no more. You know, it could be any scenario, because I recognize that no scenario is one scenario. There's a lot of different scenarios. Maybe you're the person. I'm looking for the people that's just like straight up hardcore with it. Like, look, I'm not looking for no love. I'm just going over there looking for, you know, some extracurricular activities. I'm tired of playing with my toys, and I need some human connection, and I don't want to do it in America. Maybe that's what your story. Maybe that's what your story is. Maybe you don't say all of that, but you know, whatever it is, because I mean, this is what people are doing. We can try to sweep it under the rug and act like it's not happening, or try to, you know, not talk about it and maybe it'll go away. But the reality is, this is what people are doing. And so let's talk about it. Let's see what's happening. Are African Americans really moving to Africa to find the love that they could not find in America? Be sure to like, subscribe, share. I can't wait to see the comments, because this is going to be up. I'm not taking this video down. It's up. And then let's see how many people, let's see if we can get some folks talking about it on the interviews, and we'll take it from there. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Be safe.